Hey guys, welcome to Psalm 38. This image that we're working on today, this is a popular kind of image out there on Pinterest. I know that there's a whole bunch of stamps that do this. And the thing is that it's just so easy to draw her or draw this kind of faceless little cutie that I thought, well, gosh, let's just try to do it today and kind of knock it out of the park. I do not have absorbent ground down on my page again, and you could see when I was putting down the color on the roses that it did want to beat up a little bit, but I really have found that once you hit it with a heat gun, it does get that. I'm assuming that it gets that clear gesso warmed up so that it can receive and let something bond to it. So looking at her face, you see she's just got an oval for a face and a little skinny neck, and then it goes into almost like a circle down on her chest. You know that I have this doodle is step by step laid out on praiseheart.net under the tab for Psalm study. So you can go over there and see the step by step instructions on how to do her. You can download those. It's a PDF file. You can download them, keep them next to your desk. I know that Tammy actually takes them and traces them out and puts them right on her Bible that way. So whatever works for you, come join in the fun with us. I am working here. I have an idea in my head how I want the color composition to be. So I'm laying in yellow hair. Ultimately, I want her hair to have kind of an orange feel to it. But it's easier when you're doing hair to start with the lighter color and then work yourself up layer by layer into the darker colors. You can't go to the dark, like let's say that you want black hair with blue highlights. If you lay in all of that black, it's going to be very difficult to pop out the blue. I mean, you could do it with colored pencils and a whole lot of extra steps, but it really is easier to start with your lower color and your highlights and then add in the darker values as you go. So this is not the color that I want to end up with, but it is the color that I'm starting with. So, the roses, I want to talk to you about the roses. Those roses are just squares that kind of impound on themselves, and it forms a rose. Don't overthink them. Just kind of draw them out. And if you overthink them, they lose that free kind of whimsical feel. So don't overthink. Just kind of draw those squares and then lay in some color. You see here that I've got the next layer on her hair. I'm starting to pick it up a little bit more with the orange, but even that's not done yet. I'm still going to work on it a little bit more. So the reason that I want her to have orange hair is because in my head I've kind of planned out my color composition and how I want it to look. So I really like to put blues next to oranges and yellows. I just think that's a nice color combination. Do you see how much thought I'm putting into those? I know this is sped up, but do you see how much thought I'm putting into those roses? Literally none. Just knock them out. The faster you do them, the cuter they are. So going back to the hair and the blues and the yellows. So if you're looking for a composition that is bold, you want to go with opposite colors. So opposite colors are red and green. You kind of can group those into like Christmas, right? You always remember Christmas is red and green. Bow is blue and orange, and purple and yellow are just the other colors that are left. So you've got red, green, blue and orange, and purple and yellow. I actually love blue and orange together. I just think that that's a really pretty combination. And if you'll see, I use it a lot in my compositions because they are opposite and it's just very vibrant. So I knew I wanted to have a blue sky. I knew I wanted it to be vibrant. So if I were to add, those are opposite complementary colors. There's also analogous colors, which are around the same bend of the color wheel. So if I go all like aquas and greens, that's going to be like they're all in the same color family. They're all like related, and that's very soothing. So if I was going to give her green hair with a blue background, you see how that's got a whole different feel than the bright, vibrant, opposite colors. So kind of think about the color composition as you're going into it. If you get yourself a color wheel or just download a color wheel, it's fun to just kind of look at it and play with what you want before you even start. If you want calm, kind of stay in the same color families. If you want bold and vibrant and kapow, go with the complementary colors. So here I am adding in, I'm using a great big wash brush And you see how it's really not even beading anymore. So I guess if you just heat up your page a little bit before you even start, you'd be fine to just not have to do that absorbent ground. So I know we've been round robin with the absorbent ground and the clear gesso, but it's working now. It's working kind of fun. So I'm still not happy with her hair. There's still going to be another layer coming in. Do you see how my page is not buckling at all? There's absolutely no buckle on any of my pages because of the amount that I dry in between each layer. So make sure that you're dry, dry, dry. Otherwise things are going to bleed into each other and your pages are going to buckle. If you take the time to dry, it really does, it does make a difference. On that corner down there, I wanted it to not be neat. I wanted it to be a little bit haphazard. So that's where that's coming from. And that's intentional, that I don't want it to look like it's all just one color. I want it to be modeled and a little bit eye-catching. So drying everything out, because that was just a lot of paint and water I put on the pages. So just drying it all out really well. You can see here that her hair is still kind of drab and lifeless, and it does not have the spark and the punch that she ultimately will have. So I will be coming back in and putting in the darkest value on top of it, and I always add just a little bit of hair that's kind of splayed out and not neat. You'll see when I start on that bottom ponytail that I don't have to work at the hair, because the brush, if it's dry and the bristles splay out a little bit, you can very gently rake that paint down and it will create the pieces of hair without having to work quite so hard at it. Hold on, I'm going to come back in and you'll see it in just a second. So you see how that's the orange that I was going for. It's kind of messy looking. It's got a whole lot of loose pieces kind of coming out. I think that's kind of like a cute look. Now here, watch. The brush is, those hair strokes are created because the brush is dry and splayed just a little bit. You just pop it back in the water, you can get a nice point, and you can go back on again. Add in just a little bit more shadow on the roses to just bring some depth. Don't overthink it, just drop in a little bit more. Dry in between so they don't become a great big puddle. I like the look of the texture, the dots on here. I just think it's sort of like a fun, adds motion, adds texture with her hair and all. So just make sure when you're coming back in and you're going to be doing your writing, make sure that you're completely dry. Those little boogers of dots, those take a hot second to dry. So let it dry, because you'll come back in and you put your arm down and you're going to start writing and everything's going to smear and it's going to be a mess. So take your time, enjoy the process, and dry in between. Just dry in between. I promise it will make such a difference in the amount of detail you can get and in the amount of, like, your pages not looking like they got caught out in the rain. You know, take your time, go slow, dry in between. I'm using a Kuretake Tombow brush pen here for my lettering. Remember, on your downstroke, you're going to have a thicker stroke. Your upstroke is thinner. I just popped in is in because they're kind of just extra words and they're not as pretty. So I do come back in looking at the finished picture. You'll see that I do have a little bit right there of gray on my right side. I dropped in a shadow. So that's it, guys. I hope you have a super duper week. I'd love to see what you're doing. Please hashtag me #PraiseHeart, #PraiseHeart, and I'll get to look and see what you did with it. I hope you're enjoying the process. Check out praiseheart.net, the Psalm Study tab, and you can see all of the archived videos and PDFs that you can download. Have a great week, guys. Bye.